or spurs. The Jewish War, v. 136, 144, This central valley has filled in considerably throughout the centuries, but a visitor still must make a rather sharp descent to a central hollow and then climb up the other side when crossing the city. There is evidence that, in addition to the NS Central Valley, two smaller EW valleys, or depressions, further divided the hills, one cutting across the eastern hill and the other across the western. The steep valley walls seem to have been incorporated into the city's defensive wall system in all periods. The only side of the city lacking in natural defense was that on the end, and here the walls were made especially strong. When attacking the city in 70 CE, General Titus, according to Josephus, was faced with 3 successive walls on that side. Water supply. Jerusalem's inhabitants suffered from serious food shortages in siege, but evidently had no great water problem. 4. In spite of its nearness to the arid Judean wilderness, the city had access to a constant supply of fresh water and had adequate storage facilities within the city walls. 2 springs, Rogel and Gihon, were located near the city. The first lay a little less of the junction of the Kidron and Hinnom valleys. While a valuable source of water, its position made it inaccessible during times of attack or siege. The Gihon spring lay on the W side of the Kidron Valley, alongside what came to be called the City of David. Though outside the city walls, it was close enough that a tunnel could be excavated connecting to a shaft, enabling the city's inhabitants to draw water without going outside the protective walls. This was done early in the city's history, according to the archaeological evidence. In 1961 and 1962, excavations revealed a substantial early wall, situated below the upper end, or entrance, of the tunnel, hence enclosing it. It is thought to be the wall of the old Jebusite city. Over the years, additional tunnels and canals were formed to channel Gihon's waters. One channel ran from the mouth of the cave of the Gihon spring down the valley and around the end of this hill to a pool located at the junction of the Hinnom Valley with the central or European Valley. According to what has been found, it was in the form of a trench, covered with flat stones, and tunneled through the hillside at points. Openings at intervals allowed for water to be drawn off the irrigation of the valley terraces below. The canal's gradient of about 4 or 5 mm per meter, less than 0.2 inches per yard, produced a slow gentle flow, reminding one of the waters of the Shiloh that are going gently. Issa 8. 6. It is suggested that this canal, unprotected and vulnerable, was constructed during Solomon's reign, when peace and security were predominant. Jerusalem's homes and buildings were evidently equipped with underground cisterns, supplementing the supply of water from springs. Rainwater collected from the roofs was stored therein, kept clean and cool. The temple area seems to have had particularly large cisterns, archaeologists claiming to have plotted 37 cisterns there with a total capacity of about 38,000 kl 10,000-000 gallons, one cistern alone estimated as capable of holding 7,600 kl 2 million gallons. Over the centuries a number of aqueducts, or conduits, were built, in order to provide water for Jerusalem. Tradition ascribes to Solomon the construction of a conduit from the pools of Solomon 3 reservoirs of Bethlehem to the temple enclosure at Jerusalem. At Ecclesiastes 2. 6, Solomon says, I made pools of water for myself, to irrigate with them the forest. Such a large undertaking as the building of the pools could well have included Otextoi acute Muritra Longo, Jerusalem 41 Bashan. Then, too, the city was destroyed a number of times, with new cities built on top of the ruins and often made, in part, from material of those ruins. The piling up of debris and rubble, in some places about 30 meters, 100 feet deep, has obscured the early contours of the site and made the interpretation of the excavated evidence a precarious task. Some wall sections, pools, water tunnels, and ancient tombs have been unearthed, but very little written material. Principal archaeological discoveries have come from this hill, which now lies outside the city walls. The main sources of information regarding the ancient city, therefore, remain the Bible and the description of the first-century city given by Jewish historian Josephus. Early history. The first historical mention of the city comes in the decade between 1943 and 1933 BCE, when Abraham's encounter with Melchizedek took place. Melchizedek was king of Salem and priest of the Most High God. GE 14. 17-20. However, The origins of the city and of the population that composed it are as wrapped in obscurity as is the origin of its king-priest Melchizedek. Compare Heb 7. 1-3. Apparently another event in Abraham's life involved the vicinity of Jerusalem. Abraham was commanded to offer up his son Isaac on one of the mountains in the land of Moriah. The temple built by Solomon was erected on Mount Moriah on a site that previously had been a threshing floor. GE 22. 2. 2ch3. 1. Thus, the Bible apparently links the place of Abraham's attempted sacrifice with the mountainous region around Jerusalem. See Moriah. Whether Melchizedek was still living then is not revealed. But Salem likely remained friendly territory for Abraham. The account of Joshua's sweeping conquest of Canaan lists Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, among the Confederate kings attacking Gibeon. His name meaning "my Lord is righteousness" closely parallels that of Jerusalem's earlier king Melchizedek, king of righteousness, but Adoni-Zedek was no worshipper of the Most High God, Jehovah. Jos 10. 1-5, 23, 26. 12. 7, 8, 10. The Amarna tablets, many written by Canaanite rulers to their Egyptian overlord, include a number of letters from the king-governor of Jerusalem. His letters are generally agreed to have been sent during the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten. Though written in Akkadian, they contain many local Canaanite words and inflections. In the letters, Jerusalem is described as a city kingdom that was struggling to maintain its control of the surrounding region. In the allotting of tribal territories, Jerusalem was on the boundary between Judah and Benjamin, the specific border running along the valley of Hinnom. This would place at least what comprised the later city of David, situated on the ridge between the Kidron and Tyropian valleys, within the territory of Benjamin. Apparently the Canaanite city had additional settlements, or suburbs, however, and part of the settled area may have overlapped into Judah's territory to the W&S of the valley of Hinnom. Judah is credited with the initial capture of Jerusalem at Judges 1. 8, but after the invading forces moved on, the Jebusite inhabitants apparently remained or returned in sufficient force to form a later pocket of resistance that neither Judah nor Benjamin could break. Thus, of both Judah and Benjamin it is said that the Jebusites continued dwelling with them in Jerusalem. Jos 15. 63. JG 1. 21. This situation continued for some 4 centuries, and the city was at times referred to as Jebus, a city of foreigners. JG 19. 10-12. 1ch 11. 4, 5. During the United Kingdom, King Saul's headquarters were at Gibeah in the territory of Benjamin. King David's capital city was first at Hebron in Judah, about 30 kilometers 19 MSSW of Jerusalem. After ruling there a total of 7.5 years to 5, he determined to transfer the capital to Jerusalem. O textoi acute miritra longo, Jerusalem 42 moved his capital there 1070 BCE. The Jebusite strongholds now came to be known as the City of David, also called Zion. 2-5. 7. David began a building program within the area, apparently also improving the city's defenses. 2-5. 9-11. 1ch 11. 8. The Mount Heb. Ham middle.mil.lo refer to here 2-5. 9 and in later accounts 1 Chi 9. 15, 24. 11. 27 was some geographic or structural feature of the city, well known then but unidentifiable today. When David later transferred the sacred Ark of Jehovah from the house of Obed-Edom to Jerusalem, the city became the religious, as well as administrative, center of the nation. 2-6. 11, 12, 17. See burial places. David, city of Mount. There is no record of Jerusalem's being attacked by enemy forces during David's reign, as he carried the battle to his foes. Compare 2-5. 17-25. 8. 1-14. 11. 1. On one occasion, however, David saw fit to abandon the city before the advance of rebel forces led by his own son, Absalom. The king's retreat may have been to avoid having bloodshed in civil war at this place where Jehovah's name rested. 2 Sa 15. 13-17 Whatever the motive for the retreat, it lead to the fulfillment of the inspired prophecy spoken by Nathan. 2 Sa 12. 11. 16. 15-23 David did not allow the Ark of the Covenant to be evacuated with him but ordered the faithful priests to return it to the city, God's chosen location. 2 Sa 15. 23-29 The description of the initial part of David's flight as recorded at 2 Samuel chapter 15 outlines well the geographic features of the area on the ear of the city. Toward the close of his rule, David began preparing construction materials for the temple. 1 Ch 22. 1, 2. Compare 1 K 6. 7. The hewn stones prepared may have been quarried in that area, for the bedrock of Jerusalem itself is easily cut and chiseled to size and shape, yet, upon exposure to the weather, hardens into durable and attractive building stones. There is evidence of an ancient quarry near the present Damascus Gate, vast quantities of rock having been cut out there in the course of time. A further view of the layout of the terrain around Jerusalem, this time to the east, is given in the account of the anointing of Solomon by order of aged King David. Another son, Adonijah, was at the spring of Unrogel, plotting to seize the kingship, when Solomon was anointed at the spring of Gihon. The distance between the 2 points was short enough c. 700 meters, 2,300 feet that Adonijah and his co-conspirators heard the noise of the horn and celebrations at Gihon. 1 Chi 1. 5-9, 32-41. Solomon's reign saw considerable building and perhaps rebuilding done within the city and the expansion of its limits. 1 Chi 3. 1. 9. 15-19, 24. 11. 27. Compare EC2. 3-6, 9.